Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." I'm going to try to stick to my notes because I have the spiritual gift of open mouth and insert foot. And I'm chief of them. So Paul said, I'm chief of sinners, and I am chief of foot and mouth. So I am a Howes-Anderson graduate. My husband and I met here, and I'm so grateful for the college and what we learned. I graduated with a major in secondary education with music and math. So when I went to our Christian school, or when we started our Christian school, of course, they asked me to teach science. And great. Isn't it comforting to know, though, that the Lord knows us better than we know ourselves? Because I found out I love science. And, we study creation to learn about God. And the sciences teach us about God. They should not be used to disprove God. We learn about a composer from their music. We learn about an artist from their art. Why wouldn't we learn about the Creator from his creation? So here we go, pop quiz. Building blocks of matter, called very good, oh great, the atom. And the atom, inside the atom, we have a nucleus, and there's two subatomic particles inside the nucleus, and they are, you're good, protons and neutrons. You had good chemistry teachers. Protons and neutrons. Protons are the things that give the identity to the element of what it is. Now, atoms are so small we can't see them with our naked eye. We can't even see them with a microscope. We have to have an electron microscope. Atoms are so small that light waves are too big to expose atoms. That's why we can't see them. But inside the atom and inside the nucleus, there are neutrons and protons, and the protons are what give the atom its identity. So we can't see these tiny, tiny particles, but if we blew up an atom to be the size of this auditorium, the size of the nucleus would be the size of a grain of rice. And inside that rice is added protons. If you have 3 protons, you have a substance that is a silvery metal. We use it to make batteries, called lithium. If you add 5 more protons, you have a gas that sustains life in mammals on Earth, and that's oxygen. It's amazing the detail that God has, correct? It tells me that my Creator is a very detailed God. He pays attention to every little detail, which leads me to my topic today. Your music matters. From the 7 notes of the scale, 7 meaning the number of perfection, to a basic chord is a triad, 3 notes, which remind us of the Trinity, right? I've heard my pastor say many times, music was created to refresh the spirit. And music influences the spirit. It comes from the word pneuma, which is translated as a force or a wind or a breath. It's like an unseen force, but we can call it an attitude. And when I say attitude, you get that picture of that attitude, right? It's like typically we don't go, attitude, but anyway, music does carry an attitude. So here's 3 things to consider, all right? Music has the ability to evoke emotions we didn't already feel. And I'm sure you, yes, have had this. Most of you could probably identify with the music that you just heard randomly, and I'm a crier. It just blew up your emotions, and you're like, why did that happen? I remember when I just had one of my boys. I have 2 boys and a girl, and I'd had one of my boys, and I went into a gas station, and some country song, I don't know what it was. I have no idea who the singer was. And it said, like, young boy, born 6 pounds, something, and I just lost it. I was at a gas station getting a drink, and I was like, oh, it's my boy, and I was like, what is wrong? I'm sure just having a child had nothing to do with hormones. But anyway, I lost it. So, and we know that music can evoke emotion. Instrumental music, you don't even have to have lyrics, can evoke emotion. Movie scores can do this, in the scary parts, dun, 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 or whatever, in anxiety, and you hear it coming, you're like, no, I don't want to hear that. My husband installed an outside speaker on our porch, and so we play music 24/7 outside. And we like to sit on the porch and just relax, or I do. And one day I saw in the woods It looked like somebody's riding an SUV, and I saw the headlight. And I thought, oh, that reminds me of my boys who are now grown. It reminded me of my boys. And then the music started playing, and I was like, it reminds me of my boys. You know, and I, again, lost it. Can you tell my emotions are like this? I'm like, ah, and then I'm like, ah. And so my husband's like, who are you? I don't know who you are. So anyway, I had a huge cry that day. Music, number 2, here's another thing to consider. Music can rapidly result in feelings of connection with musicians or others that enjoy the same music. And we understand that, right? Live music triggers this, but singing triggers it even more. They have rock groups that follow a group called the Grateful Dead, and those people are called Deadheads. People wear their favorite musicians on their t-shirts, and they identify with each other. One of the first things that helped me connect with Hyles Anderson College was somebody giving me a tour group tape, 1992 Songs of Praise. Helped me connect with the college. And I want a t-shirt that says Barbara Burke on it, because she's my, right? I'm a fan. Number 3, let's consider this. Music strengthens our sense of identity. Now, I'm a Tennessee Volunteer fan, and what do we use to identify us? There's a song, Rocky Top. And any game you go to, and we love to go to the football games, the basketball games. My daughter just got into the baseball games. They play it from start to finish. And everybody sings, Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. It's my identity. And now everything in East Tennessee is named Rocky Top. My aunt, I'm from Gatlinburg, and my aunt works at a sports complex called Rocky Top Sportsplex, and everything else, Rocky Top this, Rocky Top that. And there's a town in East Tennessee that they voted to rename their town Rocky Top. So now you can actually go and visit a real town called Rocky Top because they want to be identified. And it all came from a song. Researchers at a university in the Netherlands have found that the musical tone of music can influence our emotions, which can change our visual perception of things. Other researchers at the University of California at Berkeley tested a range of music and how it affected our emotions, and 13 overarching feelings came from their research. They were this: amusement, annoyance. Yeah, we know that song. It's typically kids playing on ding, ding, and you're like, ah! Okay, annoyance, anxiety, beauty, defiance, dreaminess, feeling pumped up, joy, relaxation, sadness, scariness, triumph, and then some provocative, we'll just say, emotions. I'll quote this article. Through neuroimaging, we know that when the human ear hears music, it makes its way to the brain and stimulates almost all areas of the brain. A similar test was done using an MRI machine, and researchers found that music lights up many different areas of our brains. Dopamine and other chemicals are created as a reaction to our brains, interpreting sound as music. This translates into emotions and will in turn affect our thinking and our feelings. Music is an art, correct? It means art of the muses or deep thoughts, kind of like poetry is deep thoughts. So I'm going to put those 3 things together that we just considered. Here's the statement. So music is the creative composition of deep thoughts set to emotionally triggering music, which brings about a particular spirit or attitude, which results in how we think, as well as connecting us to a particular group of people. That is powerful. And our detailed God wants us to make sure that we pay attention to it. I'd like to share with you some things through the years that I've learned about music. I'm not an expert in it, but I can share with you what God has shown me. Number 1, He showed me the dangers of the wrong music. I grew up in a public school, and I grew up loving music. My favorite teacher in high school was my music teacher. My favorite thing in high school was music. Besides personal relationships, I loved music. I wanted to be known for music. I wasn't good at music. I wasn't good at it. I just loved it, and I enjoyed it. My senior year of high school, I started going to an independent fundamental Baptist church. And the first time I heard the preacher say or preach against rock music, I was stunned. I mean, that man, he might as well have gotten up and said, I just got off the spaceship. They just abducted me by aliens, and they came off and said, because it would not have shocked me anymore. I was stunned, and I thought, what is he? And I wasn't happy with him. I thought, you're messing with something I don't want you to mess with, because this is my stuff. This is my music. I was just in disbelief. But let me clarify this. When people say rock music, we're talking about all genres. We're talking about rap, R&B, hip-hop, alternative, soul music, whatever it is. It's all categorized into rock music. But I tried to digest this. My music was wrong. Trying to digest this. At the same time, God's doing something in my heart, and I'm thinking, God, I want to please you, but I don't understand this. Help me. So I started to change my music. And I'll tell you, looking back, the more I changed, the more he made me understand. It was the action, and then the understanding came. I soon saw that the unrighteous lifestyle that's promoted by rock music had looked like a joke to me. It makes a joke of God. It mocks God. And I thought, it's just funny. It's not really anything, because I enjoyed the music so much. I knew that it was a stark contrast to the Christian lifestyle, and I knew that I had to change my music. Now, notice the word change. The Bible teaches that we must overcome evil with good. And in science, there's a saying that nature abhors a vacuum. The vacuum is not the one that is a vacuum is a space, and most of you, because you know what an atom is, you know what a vacuum is, I'm sure, because you're brilliant. It doesn't have air in it, doesn't have anything in it, doesn't have water, liquid in it, nothing. It's void of anything. Nature hates that. It's kind of when you have a drink with a lid on it and it has a straw in it, and you can put your finger on top of that straw and you pull it up and the liquid doesn't come out. If it came out, if gravity pulled it out, it would make a vacuum inside that straw, because air can't fill it up, nothing can fill it up. Air pressure would collapse the straw, and because it's a vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. Well, we have to replace music. If we're listening to the wrong kind of music, we have to replace it with good music, because nature abhors a vacuum. Our lives were meant to have music in them. We enjoy music. If God told us, put music so much in the Bible, then we know that our lives were meant to have them. So once I started changing, I started to see how rock music was affecting people. I remember a guy I went to high school with, he said he would go to his car and he would listen to the heaviest metal music he could listen to before a soccer game, because it gave him those aggressive feelings to go out and play in the game like he should. I remember kids singing along with music, and the words were literally a mockery to God and what he has done for them. When I was growing up in high school, and I don't mean any disrespect, I love my friends from high school, but there was a tone of, wait, you get along with your parents? Wait, you have a relationship with your parents? And it was like everybody I look back on it now, it's just a spirit. And I remember the first time I saw somebody getting along and having a great relationship with their parents, and I thought, what is that? But it is heavily influenced by the music that was so prevalent in our lives. So at the time, I didn't understand everything that was wrong concerning my music, but I knew the lyrics were wrong, okay? I heard a preacher say one time, any music you are listening to that does not contain the Word of God is not ministering to you, it's medicating you. So I knew the lyrics were bad. So I went to the Christian bookstore, and guess what I found? Contemporary Christian music. It didn't have bad words to it. I mean, same beats that I kind of like, same rhythms I kind of like, but now we're listening to godly music, right? I learned, the second thing I've learned through the years, just because the words change, it doesn't make the music right. One night, when I was at the University of Tennessee, and I went there for 1 year before transferring to Hyles-Anderson, I went to the Baptist Student Union, which was a place where some of the people could come, and we had devotions on Thursday night. And one night, we went in, and I thought everything looked a little different. Typically, we sang a lot. They had guitars, but this night they had electric guitars. And I think there were drums there. I'm not really sure, but I remember the electric guitars, and they got up. I was so excited because my roommate had decided to come with me. And we were listening to them, and they started singing the song, Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. But the way they were playing the music, the crowd ended up not singing, Lord, I lift your name on high. The crowd started singing, Wild Thing, you make my heart sing, just from the way they were playing the music. And that night, I remember thinking, God, you're teaching me about music. Wow. That night, that music and the way that it was played brought a familiarity with the world. There's an excellent book by Shelley Hamilton, no relation, but if there was, yay, okay, but there's not. There's an excellent book by Shelley. I am Shelley Hamilton's sister. No, I'm not. Okay, excellent book by Shelley Hamilton called Why I Don't Listen to CCM. Our preacher gave it to all of our staff, and she addresses why rock music is harmful. She uses rock music because a lot of CCM is based on rock music. I was talking to my daughter about this the other day because she said, Mom, what is it? And I said, well, it's the beat. And it doesn't have to be drums. It can be any instrument making a rhythm or a beat. But if you don't understand that, the devil takes everything that God made for us, and he twists it and turns it. It is a backbeat. It is on the 2 and 4 when regular beats should be on the 1 and 3. And I can talk to you later if you are questioning that or wondering about it. But I will say that what I have witnessed from dealing with CCM, I feel like it's hurt a lot of people's spirits because it holds the same hold on people like regular rock music does. And this is what's happened. We've invited people to our church, and they'll come and visit our church, and they'll say, I like your pastor, I like the spirit, but I just can't go to your church because it's not my music. And I've heard, literally people have said, I need my music in church. I can't do that music. I need my music. And they won't come back to church. Are we trying to conform God to us, or are we willing to conform to God? I've heard people say this, we need new music for today. And Psalm 96:1 says, sing unto the Lord a new song. I agree. But this verse talks about a heart condition more than the notes and lyrics. It means to sing a song that is fresh or renewed within you. It's the same translation as Psalm 51:10, which says, create in me a clean heart, O Lord, and renew a right spirit within me. Those are the same words as a new song and renew a right spirit within me. People will always be writing music, and Miss Adri just wrote one of the prettiest songs I have heard. They'll always be composing new music, but that music is out of a newly refreshed heart and passion for the Lord, not a new type of song that we have to sing, referring to the song and lyrics and music. It's a new passion for Christ. John 4:24 says, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And I believe that this verse is talking about spirit being our music and the way it is sung, the notes, and the truth is the words. So in order for us to worship the Lord in song, and there's many ways to worship the Lord, we must have both of them right. The music and the words, spirit and truth. So we must have godly music with godly lyrics. 1 Corinthians 14:15 says, I will sing with the Spirit, and I will sing with understanding also. Number 3, I learned to surrender my music. At one point, I was just searching for music. I was getting rid of this, and then the Lord would reveal something to me, and I was like, okay, I got to get rid of this music, and now I've got to get rid of this music. And I was struggling to find something that fit me. And there's the problem. I was trying to conform God to me and not me to what he wanted. So one night, I was driving back to the campus, and second semester of my freshman year at UT, I went home for all of my church services, and then I would drive back to the campus about an hour away. And one night I was driving back to the campus, and I was listening to a song on my tape player. Woo-hoo. And on my 8-track, no, I'm just kidding, on my tape player. And God said very clearly to me, he said, get rid of that. And I started arguing with God, and I was like, wait a second. Okay, this is acoustic guitar. It's not, you don't hear drums in it, and there's nothing, profaning Christ. I mean, they're singing about being in the South, and I love the South. And, it's great, God. What's wrong with it? And he said, get rid of it. And I said, come on. And as God and I went back and forth, he said very clearly in my heart, you have a dependence on that more than you have a dependence on me. It doesn't matter what the music is. And I said, okay. And I took the tape out, and I chucked it out my sunroof. And it's still on the road today. You can go back. No, just kidding. And immediately he said very clearly in my heart, someday I'm going to use you in music. I didn't remember that story until years later when I started thinking about it. And I had my Sarah moment. I was kind of like, really? I had 1 year of piano lesson in 7th grade. That's all I could do. I couldn't sing harmony. I had tried to sing harmony during congregational music, and I was all over the place, and I thought, okay, yeah, sure. But God did speak to me very clearly, and I thought, it doesn't matter, Lord. I just want to surrender my music to you. Soon after, I transferred to Hyles-Anderson College, and I became involved in the music program. And while I was here, and since we've been in North Carolina at Bailey's Grove Baptist Church, I've learned that music is an important part of my walk with the Lord. Psalm 96, 1-4, we are instructed to sing. So we need to sing. Sing during congregational music. Sing during your personal devotions. Keep a song on your heart all day. It'll help, and it'll bring that back to you all day long. David in the Bible set some over the service of song in the house of the Lord. If you can, join the choir. Sing in special groups. And I'll say this as a side, the music I enjoy the most is from people of service, bus workers, soul winners, children church workers. I enjoy their music because their service for the Lord means more. Their music means more because their service and their heart comes through their song. Because music is powerful, remember? Get your kids singing and get them on instruments. There were different kids in the Bible who ministered through music. Teens love music. They love to sing. Some teens, and through the years, I love working with the teenagers in our church, and especially with music. And some teens will say, through the years, they've said, music isn't my thing. Sure. I think, and I don't say that, but inside I'm thinking, sure, it's everybody's thing. Or they'll say, no, I just don't enjoy singing. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. If the Bible says sing unto the Lord, he made us all to sing. And it doesn't matter what it sounds like. But I will say that I've learned this through the years. I've worked with teenagers who I thought were tone deaf, and shame on me. I've learned when you keep on working with them, it's just they've got to make those neural connections in their brain. And some of the best singers that we've had come through our church were kids that I thought were tone deaf when they were younger. And I haven't met a kid yet that I thought was tone deaf to begin with that has not learned to sing and pick it up. It's been amazing to me. We strive for balanced teens. Our guys, they love to sing, but our guys love to play basketball. And we make sure that they have that balance. And I'm really grateful because I believe God has given us a special connection with our teens through music. I can't explain it, but it's a strong connection Remember what I said at the beginning. Music helps you identify with people and give you a strong connection. Last week, we were working in a service in one of the neighborhoods, and we're doing a big thing right now. It's our preacher's 30th anniversary, and we're having 30 services in different neighborhoods and different places before the 30th. And we were doing a neighborhood service recently, and one of our adult ladies was there who grew up in our youth group. And I took a minute and just pulled her aside and said, "Hey, how you doing? And things going?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm doing well." She said, "I've been thinking of you a lot." She said, "Because I love those days when we got to sing together." She said, "I really have been thinking about it and how much I just loved singing with the teens and all the things that we did together." And I said, "Well, you keep on." And it's just, there's that connection. 2 Kings 3:15 says, "And it came to pass when the minstrel played that the hand of the Lord came upon him." God inhabits our praise, and God inhabits our music. Don't we want that music? I want the music in my life that the hand of the Lord comes down upon us. Isn't that our ultimate goal? We want a strong connection with Christ. We want to have a strong identity as a believer. We want a strong connection with other believers. And we want the mind of Christ to affect our visual perception, our thoughts, and our feelings. Why would we not surrender our music? Why would we not want the Lord to guide us in our music if all of those things are our goal? My friend Jim Beal, who has the Abide in Me podcast, she sent me this quote. "When you are surrendering something to God, you are not throwing it away or giving it up. You are placing it in the hands of the only one who can do something way greater with what it is you are surrendering to him." Let me say that again. When you are surrendering something to God, you are not throwing it away or giving it up. You are placing it in the hands of the only one who can do something way greater with what it is you are surrendering to him. A few weeks ago, I received a call from my oldest son. He's in Bible college down in Longview, Texas. And he said to me, "Mom, you remember that story that you told us about how you were driving down the road and you started arguing with God about your music, and you took the tape and you threw it out the sunroof?" And he used this word. He said, "Remember you said to God, no exceptions. I'm not going to make an exception for this." He said, "Mom, God has worked in my heart." These are his words. And he said, "My theme for this year is no exceptions. And I want to not make any exceptions in my Christian life." Don't we want to surrender something greater that we thought it's us, and this is mine? But if you surrender it to God, he can do something way greater with it than you can. And 30 years ago, when I took that tape and I threw it out my sunroof, I had no idea that more than 30 years now, that later on my son would say, "Mom, that affected my life directly because you gave that to God. I am giving this to God." Why would we not want to surrender something to God and place it in his hands so he can do something greater with it than we can ourselves? I don't, in a crowd like this, I don't believe you have struggles with your music. But God knows, and you know, if there's something right now in your heart that you say, "God, I just don't know about this. I have a question about this. I'm not sure." Surrender it to him and let him guide you and let him teach you. And if you say, I just have never made music a big issue. If you have teenagers, if you have kids that you're influencing, make it a big issue. Push music. Push the right music. Push good music. If you see attitudes in the kids you're working with, push good music. It'll help their attitudes. It'll breathe new life, a renewed spirit in them. Thank you.